In a world of shills and unreliable movie reviews, it's hard to find the truth before investing your time into a film. So now, we're going to judge who's telling the truth or who's out of touch with reality. It's time to review the critics.
It's late spring of 1996, and while all the cool kids were getting plastered at their high school prom, the rest of us were standing in line to see Twister, that or Mission Impossible, or Dragonheart. The 90s had been good to us so far. Hollywood was paying attention to what audiences were responding to, and in 1996 we were still intoxicated by the elevated magic of Steven Spielberg, Ron Howard, and Disney animation. Now in 2024, whether people asked for it or not,
we finally beat Medicaid.
Cyclones will be striking theaters again later this week. So will critics and audiences be pleased with the new outcome? But before we get to that video, let's talk about the original film first. While critics gave Twister a mild 64% on Rotten Tomatoes, audiences were largely disappointed with the film, collectively giving Twister only a 58%. Perhaps they'd been so spoiled with Speed and Jurassic Park that they forgot how to shut off their brains for a couple of hours and let the wind blow where it may. Maybe one day RTC will start picking on the audiences. You're out of order! You're out of order! But for now, let's expose the critics who gave Twister a rotten score. Is it a perfect movie? No, it's not. I'd say it is a perfectly good movie and should absolutely have a 100% score from both audiences and critics. The critics have reviewed Twister. Now let's review the critics. Mark R. Leeper from rec.arts.movies.reviews clearly never even watched the movie. He bends the truth by saying that all Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton had to do was remember their lines and wait for the props to bump into them. Neither pulls in a whole lot of interest on the screen. Truth is, neither Helen nor Bill got hit with anything in the whole film. Maybe some straw and dust clouds, but they dodged all the exploding trucks and tumbling houses. And to say that our two main characters aren't interesting, maybe you should go back and watch this spirited scene.
Jesus Christ, listen to yourself, you're obsessed!
You've never seen what that thing can do, so don't talk to me about it! You've never seen it!
You've never seen it miss this house, and miss that house, and come after you!
Killing yourself won't bring your dad back!
Barbara Schulgasser from San Francisco Examiner says, Michael Crichton wrote the script with his wife, and it's about as dull as a prairie vista. She also clearly didn't see the movie. Okay, first off, dull is the last word that can be used to describe this film. If anything, it's loud and bombastic. And secondly, prairie vistas are beautiful. This review is like saying, this movie is as tasteless as a delicious 6-cheese Chicago-style pizza. Steve Rhodes from Internet Reviews says, it was so bad that had it not been for wanting to see all the special effects, I would have been ready to walk out. So he's not much of a substance guy if all he's looking for are on-screen magic tricks. This guy wouldn't know a good story if it gave him a rectal exam in the hayloft.
Excuse me? Do I know you?
The late Roger Ebert says, the movie is wall-to-wall with special effects, and they're all convincing, although it's impossible for me to explain how Bill and Joe escaped serious injury while staring right up into the suck zone of the finger of God. Okay, if you're going to bash a movie, this is the way to do it. He highlighted what was objectively good about the film. Then he gave a reason as to why the sum of its parts didn't resonate with him. However, the part he's having trouble with doesn't actually happen until the last 3 minutes of the movie. I don't hate Gladiator just because it's ridiculous that Commodus willingly chose to fight in the Colosseum at the very end. Scott Renshaw from rec.arts.movies.reviews says, whatever one might think of the increasing mindlessness of effects-driven blockbusters, you'd think they could at least manage to entertain or to give you a reason to come back when you get up to go to the restroom.
I need the toilet.
And I want Scott to tell me what's not entertaining about tornadoes throwing gasoline trucks and cows around. And also, Twister isn't even 2 hours long. His job was to watch and study the film so that he could review it, yet he didn't bother to relieve himself before the movie.
In many ways, the work of a critic is easy. We risk very little.
And if he went to the bathroom in 1996 and decided not to come back, what did he do instead?
This is boring sitting on the toilet. I never been so bored in my life. I'm tired.
Back then, you couldn't sit in the stall and play Royal Match. I ain't getting paid for this, by the way. What Scott probably did was stand in line for another Slurpee. Then theater hopped over to Flipper, the Laughing Dolphin. James Kendrick from Q Network Film Desk fails to see the obvious. He says, what Spielberg knew back in 1975 that Crichton, Martin, and director Jan de Bont still haven't figured out is that too much of a good thing, no matter how spectacular it is, will ultimately kill a movie. Yes, for Jurassic Park, that worked. For Jaws, that worked. But dinosaurs and sharks are scary, even when they're not currently attacking, because you know they're out there hiding and waiting for their next victims. But I don't want to watch a movie about storm chasers staring at the sky.
Going green. Greenwich.
Otherwise, it would just end up looking like The Happening on a really cloudy day.
Let's just stay ahead of the wind. Nothing happened.
Pablo Villica from Cinema M. Cana says, Chegué concluso, después de asistir a este filme, que pagué o ingreso para ver una vaca voando o trailer de Miso Impossible. Yes, the flying cow is a highlight of the film, but did we really call them trailers back then? I thought we still called them previews. By the way, who's excited about Mission Impossible 8 next year? Tell us what your favorite Mission Impossible movie is in the comments below. Christine James from Box Office Magazine says, none of the individual characters draw much compassion. With uncharismatic heroes and black and white villains, all that's left to root for are the twisters, which are formidably rendered. Could this logic be applied to Titanic? Woo-hoo, go iceberg, strike that ship down, strike it. John Venable from supercolor.com says, the effects were great, the story was dumb, I hate this movie. What John failed to understand here is that the tornadoes is the draw. The trailers or previews never promised anything other than disaster and mayhem. You don't go to fast food and expect cloth napkins and someone passing out mints in the bathroom. Dragon Antolov from rec.arts.movies.reviews says, the scenes that don't feature tornadoes seem very long and almost unbearable to watch. I don't know. When I was a young boy, I didn't mind this particular scene. That could have gone on a little longer and lower. Dennis Schwartz from Dennis Schwartz Movie Reviews says that Twister is about as much fun as watching a weather report. So either everyone else is wrong about the spectacular effects, or Dennis is tuning into some great weather channels that no one is aware of.
This could be a challenge. This is Ripple. Ripple is part Mastiff, and Ripple likes to play. Ripple's only a year and a half. Just wants to play. Ripple, sit, 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 Ripple, Ripple, sit.
Here's the forecast. Volcano 350 there for Monday. Global superstorm on Tuesday. Godzilla Wednesday. I'll be honest, I have no idea what's going to happen on that day. After that, though.
Right now, kind of hung up just a little bit. Oh, I moved the map. I didn't know I could do that. No way! Can you believe that? Just touch it. You can go anywhere you want.
That's so cool.
I didn't know it. Can I zoom? Oh, man.
Current temperatures, we've got Jasper at the -2 degree mark. -3. No.
57 in Marshall. 50 is the current temperature right now in Winona. Ooh, that's funky. What is going? Ooh. I don't really know what's going on.
And we'll be back with more in just a moment.
John J. Puccio from Movie Metropolis knew what he was signing up for when he watched Twister, and he has the right words to say with a fresh score. He says the plot is thin and the characters are shallow, but who cares? The picture and sound are knockouts. This guy gets it. He understands that silly fun sometimes has a place in the movies. Desson Thompson from Washington Post is a bit of an over-exaggerator. He says, the hackneyed chatter and half-baked personal histories are enough to make you scream into the wind. No, it's not. No one, for any reason, is going to stand outside until the wind picks up one day and then literally scream out loud simply because the characters' stories aren't fleshed out enough. Again, you watch this movie for the tornadoes, not the people. Why can't these critics understand that? It's not called Twister and Friends.
I'll be there for you.
Could have played Monopoly, but no.
And now the award for the most honest review. This week's honorary mention is James Berardinelli from Real Views. About Twister, he rightfully says, it's a perfect motion picture roller coaster, fun, fast, and furious, as long as you don't think too hard.
Tune in next week when we review what the critics have to say about Twister's sequel, Twisters. Check out some of our other videos and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share RTC so we can keep on bashing the critics. Also, what's your favorite disaster movie? Let us know in the comments below.